Hey, it's Bill. You're tuned in to Three Questions in a Song, episode number 51, the podcast where the title tells it all. With me tonight are Josh and Stephanie from the band Dancing with Ghosts out of Jacksonville, Florida. What's up?
What's up, guys?
How's it going? We're here.
So this is very quick. I'll ask a question, we'll give an answer, no segues. You guys just left me. Awesome. Huh. Let's see if they pop back in. There they are. I say let's start that over.
Okay, take two.
Hey, you're tuned in to Three Questions in a Song, episode number 51. My name is Bill. With me are Josh and Stephanie from Dancing with Ghosts out of Jacksonville, Florida. What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's up? Hanging out, having fun, rocking and rolling.
So this is very, very, very fast. I'm going to ask a question. I will answer a question. I will not segue, most likely, and ask the next question. Unless we get sidetracked, which tends to happen occasionally.
Yes.
All right, so my first question for you is, if you could play any musician in history in a rockumentary, who would you play and why that person?
I would play Prince in a Purple Rain because everyone tells me I look like Prince, even though I'm like a foot taller than him. And I would just play it to the hilt. I would be dramatic. I would do the bathtub scene where the camera raises as I stand up naked. I would have the permed coif. I would have the puffy shirt. And yeah, I'd play to my strengths of looking kind of like Prince.
See, I don't have as like fun of an answer. There's not any like female musicians that I like idolize or anything, but I get told all the time for the past like 8 years that I look like Miley Cyrus. And fun fact, if I've had any moonshine, I sound like Miley Cyrus. I don't think I look like her, but I've had complete strangers walk up to me and call me Miley, so I don't know what to do with that. So that's I don't really think I look like anybody, so that's all I can do.
You don't have to necessarily look like them. You
I
can.
know,
It's just who you.
But I don't know. Like I don't have like a driving passion because like gender wise, like there's a lot of male musicians that I just.
I
am,
think
like,
that you
all
would be
about.
a great receptionist in a David Geffen rockumentary. Receptionist number 3, I think, would be a good role for you.
Fantastic. I also could play like a really good like dumb blonde, like oh my god, I could do that.
Play a dumb blonde.
Shut up.
What is something that fans of Dancing with Ghosts would be surprised to learn about each of you?
I speak a good bit of German. I wouldn't say fluent, but a step below fluent.
Good.
I try to, throughout our past songs, there's little Easter eggs in there where I speak a bit of German. If you listen, you can catch it. Most obvious would be our opening song Hex on our CD Hex. I speak some German in there. It's the translation is and through the dark forest where I had the awful nightmare, it lives in my head. Sometimes I'd rather be dead, but I say it in German.
Yeah. For me, I always wanted to be a musician, but I also wanted to be a comic book artist. I was just always too slow, but that's kind of coming full circle now because I've been designing so much of our merch, and I've been doing that a lot of times from the get-go, but now it's really coming full circle because I got this awesome digital art tablet for Christmas, and I'm starting to like really create again. So I think people will start to see more physical art from me that they probably didn't know that I could do. So that's some fun stuff.
Your sugar daddy got you that art tablet.
You got it because I worked hard.
You did what you were told, and you were rewarded.
I did what I needed to do, what needed to be done. Also because I put up with you.
See, when you're doing that accent, I do kind of see the Miley thing.
God damn it. I'm telling you, it's like, you give me some moonshine, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Because I always have a little bit of rasp, but it's something extra. She's got a little twang, you know.
So the song that we're going to feature today is Happy Murder Electronic. Electric, sorry.
Murder.
Let me do that again. The song we're going to feature today is Happy Murder Electric. What can you tell me about that? Give us a little bit of insight on that track that people might not know about.
So there's two components to that song, obviously musically, which is I can talk a little bit on, and then lyrically is her department because she wrote all the lyrics for it. Musically, it was a song that it was one of those songs, and any musician can probably relate to this. You have kind of demos that you've been kicking around for years that for whatever reason you just never did anything with. When she joined the band, I was just listening through all my old demos, and I came upon that one, and I really liked it. Always liked it musically, but I didn't think my voice really, because originally I had done vocals on the song, and I thought my vocals weren't great. And so as I was listening to the song, I started getting like the Naked and Famous Youngblood song vibes with that really high pitched female vocal where she tracks the verse vocal. That's like 6 or 7 takes all in one to create this really big vocal sound, and I wanted that vibe for this song. It has kind of this almost this Asian K-rock, J-rock kind of sound to it, so I wanted those more chibi sounding vocals, if you will, and I wanted it to be kind of like a simple song too, and it is. It's like one of our least musically proficient songs, so I don't know. I think simplicity and blending the electronic kind of beat and synths with the very heavy guitar. It's the lowest tuned we've ever gone. It's drop C tuning, but yet it's poppy. And I like blending all of that. It kind of encompasses our sound, which is dark and splashes of paint or color or whatever. That's kind of our, describes our sound. So that's kind of the musical side of it.
Yeah, and I'm a huge anime fan, so I got to hand select. There's a little sample at the beginning from one of my favorite terrible animes from high school. It's one of those weird out in left field animes, Excel Saga, which I found it really appropriate. So I thought that was fun to throw that in there. But lyrically, it's a song about people who are users. So it's the used and the user. And this could be anybody. This could be a romantic partner. This could be a friend that takes advantage of your kindness, or they perceive it for weakness. And you've done everything you can. You've reached out your hand to try to save them, and they're the type of person that would just like pull you under with them. So eventually, the song is about not being that victim anymore, and you're letting them just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna let you do your thing, and then we'll see how far that gets you. So that song has been a few years in the making, in terms of like a theory, but it was a song that needed to happen. I've had a rough year with a lot of different people, and that definitely was an amalgamation of a few years of compacted. Just I'm sick of taking people's shiz. I'm done with these people. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. Like I said, be it romantic partner or otherwise, everybody's had some kind of user in their life. So that's basically what the song is about.
So that makes me wonder about that happy murder part at the beginning of the title.
Doesn't it? I mean, because you're essentially washing your hands of these people, and we wanted a completely different type of title for this one, and so we were spitballing, and we decided it sounded very Asian influenced, in terms of like, since we threw that sample in there and stuff, and so we were like, okay, how would we make, because I'm a huge anime fan, J-rock, K-pop, all that, so we thought it would be fun to give it a title that kind of sounded more in the veins of that, just not random words because they do relate. But yeah, we took a different naming approach to this one than we normally would in light of the sounds of the song. So,
All right. So what we're going to do here momentarily is listen to Happy Murder Electric by Dancing with Ghosts. For those of you that are live in Facebook land, you're not going to get to hear that song yet. You'll have to go check it out at buildthescene.com tomorrow at 6 a.m. It will appear there. The reason being, if we play that song, then Facebook is going to mute us, and then you won't get to hear their answers, which is kind of the point of this whole thing. All right, so now we're going to come back in as if I just played the song. That was Happy Murder Electric by Dancing with Ghosts, who happened to be
what a great song.
wowee.
happened to be hanging out with me at the moment. So the way the show works is the guests that were on the last episode asked the third question. So I'm going to go ahead and let Good Grief ask you their question,
Okay.
which is, how do you balance the weight and direction of the different genres in your music?
Yeah, so that's a good question, you know, and they, you know, they really kind of hit on an issue that we've had developing our sound.
It's taken a long time.
It's taken a long time. In the early days when it was just me, I write all my songs, are, you know, I hone them on a digital audio workstation. Most people use Pro Tools. I use Fruity Loops. Fruity Loops has a lot of synth, a lot of electronic drum patches, and that's how the electronic portion kind of made its way into the music. And I'm a guitar player, and I love guitar and heavy guitar and all that. So then I mix that in. So essentially that's our basic sound, is electronic kind of rhythms and synths with heavy guitar and melodic vocals. However, there were a lot of songs that I made where I just kind of found something that I thought sounded cool, and it kind of deviated from our sound, and I just threw it out there under the Dancing with Ghosts name anyway. And I think with this newest album that's yet unreleased, it'll probably be released at the end of 2021, but we have been dripping out singles like Happy Murder Electric, and
About
then
6 singles.
yeah, and then Obsidian Blood before that. Now I think we finally, after years of, you know, screwing about, have kind of codified our sound into what we want our sound to be. So it wouldn't be as confusing on this new record when you listen to it. It all has a much more cohesive feel, unlike our last album or songs. I mean, you could go from one song and it'll sound one way, and then another song will sound completely different. And
I think part of that was us learning how to work together, because we come from such different musical backgrounds, and we like a wide array of stuff, but it came from in the beginning we didn't say no as much. Now there are certain things that we may like them, but we've decided this fits, this doesn't.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a thing too where it's like, just because you wrote technically a good song, does that song fit the band, and does it fit the image that you're trying to convey to people in a consistent way? Like, for instance, we wrote like a pop punk song for this new album, and it sounded like a really good, legit pop punk song, but then it was like, but this isn't our sound at all.
Yeah.
Like, so this would be completely confusing to drop as a single. So we just ditched it. We just ditched the song completely. So it's almost like, you know, there are bands out there like 21 Pilots who are,
love them.
They're kind of all over the place with their sound, and I like the you know, the longitude or whatever to be able to do all kinds of different things. But we do want to have that general core sound, and then we have what we call like our satellite songs that aren't really, they kind of deviate, like Faded Neon
is a big one. It's one of my favorites, but it's
got a very retro 80s sound to it. Not a whole lot of rockin' guitars. But it's nice to be able to do those songs and have the freedom to go outside the box, because the last, I mean, no disrespect, but like the last band that I would want to be like would be like an AC/DC, where it's every song is just kind of the same formulaic. That like I would get so bored so fast doing a band like that. So
well, like I think part of that also comes from the fact, like the bands that you like Smashing Pumpkins, they kind of do what they want, but each of their albums is pretty different.
Yeah, but then there's that overarching theme of there's probably going to be a heavy distorted guitar in most of it, but then sometimes there isn't. And I don't know, I guess when you cultivate a fan base that's just kind of willing to go along for the ride, that's really the fan base we need. We're not exactly one of those bands where it's like, oh, you like you like metal band. Oh, you'll also like Dancing with Ghosts, or you like pop band. You'll also like it. We're not a band that's easily categorized into it. And I know a lot of bands probably like to think that way about themselves, but I mean, really for us, true. It's really true.
Because you could pick a song and maybe be like, oh, if you like this song, you probably like.
Yeah.
But outside of that.
But we're trying to fix that though, because we realize from a marketing perspective, that's not the easiest way to package yourself. Yeah. So the next album will be a more cohesive work, and will really kind of show who we are, I guess.
Yeah.
So something that popped in my head while you were talking. Josh, you do your own podcast as well?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to drop a little bit of information about it on here so people can check it out?
The podcast that I do is called Uncovering Unexplained Mysteries. We mainly talk about segments from the 90s hit show, amazing show, best show that ever existed, Unsolved Mysteries, featuring Robert Stack, who I have a tattoo of on my arm.
I was going to ask you, and I had no idea that's what that was.
Yeah. So I really love Unsolved Mysteries, the show, and I met this guy in Washington named Mike, who also had the same passion for the show. And in 2016, we're like, let's do a podcast on it. Yeah, that'd be great. And it kind of like was a hit, like right out of the gate. And I mean, arguably that's the most successful thing I do. We get way more listeners per week on that than our songs do, unfortunately. But hey, and I shouldn't say unfortunately, because it's a good thing. But yeah, it's mainly a true crime podcast. It has nothing to do with music. I try to shoehorn music in whenever I can, but
every once in a while I get to guest feature on there.
Yeah, when Mike is in repose or whatever, Stephanie is a good pinch hitter or whatever.
Such hate.
But yeah, it's like the trifecta of my life. I have my YouTube channel, the band, and the podcast. Now, obviously, the band is at the top of the hierarchy, but the podcast is a big part of what I do, for sure.
And what you said, 2016 is when you started?
Yeah, that's.
This podcast started in 2018, I think. What am I on? Nice. Episode 51, so a little over 2 years. But my other podcast, the Pennsylvania Rock Show, started in 2004.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There was podcasts in 2004?
Well, see, here's the thing. There were, but I didn't know that's what I was doing.
Okay.
And man, I can tell you, back in 2004, it was a bitch trying to start a podcast, because you had to deal with RSS feeds, and distributing it was so much more complicated than it is now. Now it's so much easier to start because I tried to start one in 2008 and with my friend Brian, and it was just too complicated, and we didn't have a central focus. We thought we were trying to do the Joe Rogan podcast before Joe Rogan, we were trying to do like a stream of consciousness thing. And it just didn't work. I mean, because we would have these great phone conversations. I'm like, this needs to be a podcast. And for whatever reason, whenever the red recording light turned on, my friend Brian clammed up, and I was the one doing all the talking. And I was just like, screw podcasts, they'll never work. And then in 2016, when this guy Mike wanted me to try it out, I was like, all right, I'll try it again. And thankfully, Mike can talk his head off.
Yes.
And so can I. So it's like, you know what, this might work. And it did, so. Yeah,
that's the Pennsylvania Rock Show started out as a live streaming radio show. bands would come into the room I'm sitting in right now and
Nice.
play in my living room.
Oh,
I missed
cool.
that. I missed that.
And it was that from 2004 until 2010, which is when my twin daughters were born. So we had a 2-year-old son and newborn twins. So there's about a year where there were no podcasts coming out of this room. There was still music-related stuff, but
You couldn't like ask them, "Hey, can you play guitar and also feed my child?" Like,
yeah.
that.
And then when it came back, that's when it really turned into a podcast. And then it has morphed its way back into a radio show / podcast. So it's been going on. This is, I was doing the math. Let me think. This is 51. It's 554. So that's what, 605, 609, 613 episodes, I think, of different podcasts that I've done that are mine. I've been on a ton of other episodes for guests, as a guest for other people, but
That's a lot of numbers.
it is. And I have fun with it. And as you can see, it's morphed into this video thing with green screens and
I'm sorry my
But-
hair ruined the green screen.
no big deal. I'm constantly changing how I do it. Like you guys are on Restream today. So that I could use OBS to stream it, which is why you can see, well, you guys can't, but the people watching can see part of your album behind us.
Nice.
And right below you right now, it is scrolling both buildascene.com and dancingwithghostsofficial.com.
Yes. At the bottom. No bite.
You did that perfectly.
No.
So where, other than dancingwithghostsofficial.com, where can the listeners find you guys online?
Oh, please, Spotify. We're on pretty much almost everything, really. But like Spotify is the one that I personally check every day. If I see a little bump in that, it just makes me feel good personally because it's what I use to stream stuff. So,
Dancing with Ghosts on Spotify. You have facebook.com/dancingwithghostsofficial. That is facebook.com/dancingwithghostsofficial. We are on Instagram at dancingwithghostsofficial. We are on Twitter.
though we hate it, at
dancing.
Dance Ghost Dance.
Yes, at Dance Ghost Dance. That's our Twitter handle.
We are brand new on TikTok.
At Dancing with Ghosts Official.
Yeah.
We are on Cash App and Venmo as Dancing with Ghosts. We were on OnlyFans at no.
That's actually just pictures of him, though. So if you're into that, I mean,
SoundCloud, Dancing with Ghosts, YouTube.
yeah, we have a ton of music videos that are all self-produced, like in-house productions that are all on Dancing with Ghosts, along with a bunch of his other videos.
YouTube.com/Dancing with Ghosts, and just to show you something interesting here. I don't knock things up.
Oh.
And we have officially trademarked our band name, Dancing with Ghosts,
Nice.
through the United States of America Patent and Trademark Office. So if you see another Dancing with Ghosts out there,
They're not real.
they're illegally infringing.
They're a fraud.
We are when we say Dancing with Ghosts Official, we mean it. It's not just a tag that we made up.
I'm talking to you, Irish Shanty, Dancing with Ghosts in England.
There's
or
an
wherever
English
you
band.
are.
We don't have international copyright, so there is an English band called Dancing with Ghosts, and they're good for what they are, but they are folky, and they keep screwing up our stuff because they won't go. They haven't been active from what I can tell for years. I wish they would take their stuff down.
It took me almost 2 years to get them off our Spotify because they were like, Spotify had us join. And when we did that, we lost our Sounds Like radio, our artist radio, and we've not gotten them back. And it sucks. So it makes it much harder for people to find us.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no, like, if you Google how to get an artist radio, they're like, there's not really a formula for that. You just kind of got to like, we don't exactly have an answer. And I'm like, we had one. We had one.
So if you pull up a Dancing with Ghosts song and it's got like a fiddle in it or bagpipes, that's probably the
Not
wrong Dancing with. That's not us.
Yeah. Probably not.
Not
correct.
yet, at least. We haven't gone through our folky phase yet.
Yeah, no, wait, like another 20 years, and we're like, we wanted to hide that part of ourselves, but now
We haven't done
we're ready.
our Neil Young's After the Gold Rush album yet.
You know, that might explain the new Foo Fighters album.
Oh, I haven't heard it, but I'm afraid. I haven't liked much of the recent Foo. I'm an old school Foo.
What, did they go folky?
No, but it's just way different than
Like
what,
I'm
yeah.
Learn to Fly era, so like that,
Yeah, I'm 90s.
classic.
I'm 90s Foo Fighters all the way.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
The thing is, all their stuff just started to sound like formulaic and the same. The last, I'd say, like
All of our stuff?
8 years. No, Foo Fighters.
Oh, it sounded like you said all of our stuff
No,
started to sound.
Foo Fighters.
Now, see, you just earned yourself a bonus question here at the end. So one of the things that I'm trying to do with Pennsylvania Rock Show is get Dave Grohl on as a guest.
Oh, love
And
Dave Grohl.
so far, I am failing miserably.
Would you like me to retract what I said about Foo Fighters?
No.
I do love them, but
I keep tagging him in posts and tagging Foo Fighters, and I emailed it their management. Nothing. No responses at all. But
you should try to sweet talk him with coffee. Word is, according to many things I've seen, he's a very addicted to coffee individual, and I am also that, so I can relate. Coffee prevents murders.
there is a coffee shop in Pittsburgh called Black Forge that is doing a fundraiser for the Save Our Stages, which Dave is very heavily
Love.
involved with. So
Love
maybe
it.
I should send him some of that. And maybe
Yeah, you segue, whatever you got to do. I'm just telling you, like, seriously, Google, just like look it up. Like, he's got some kind of catchphrase about like the pot, like what is it? Like the pot's empty or something, and he's always like yelling during recordings about his fucking pot of coffee.
You know what's funny? You're talking about getting Dave Grohl on your podcast. On my podcast, we've had people. I've been able to get people who were on the show Unsolved Mysteries. I've been able to interview them.
And you've also gotten cease and
Yeah,
desist.
I was getting to that. Can you not spoil it? So we've had like 4 people who were actually on the show, and they were like kind of big, had big segments. These weren't just like extras. These were actual people who the murder, was their brother, and we got to speak to the sister who was featured on the show. And there was this guy, Don Devereaux, who was a key interview journalist in one of the popular segments. This journalist named Danny Castellero, who was found dead under suspicious circumstances as he was investigating something involving the U.S. government, to keep a long story short. So I talked to Don, who's in his 80s now. He was good guy, good interview and everything. And he was still friends with John Cosgrove and Terry Moyer, the executive producers of Unsolved Mysteries. And he passed our podcast along to them. I think just as like a fun, hey, look at these guys out here. They're talking about your show, because this was way before Unsolved Mysteries came back to Netflix and all that. With the new show and all.
Weren't you guys the first?
Yeah, we were one of the first podcasts that started covering Unsolved Mysteries. And so this was in the barren times when there was no way to watch the show or anything like that. So it was just the fans keeping the name alive. So what did John and Terry do? Did they pass on the back for keeping the name alive and the passion alive? No, they had their lawyer send us a cease and desist letter, which I still have. I should frame it. And I actually spoke to the lawyer on the phone a few times, and they were mainly mad that we used, I did a cover in Fruity Loops of the Unsolved Mysteries theme, so it wasn't even a direct ripoff. It was my interpretation of it, and they had a problem with that. We used a few clips from the show. They had a problem with that too. They're very protective over their IP, so we had to scrub everything. We had to change the name of the podcast because it was originally called Uncovering Unsolved Mysteries, so we had to change to Uncovering Unexplained Mysteries. So yeah, that was fun. So ever since then, I've been wanting to get John Cosgrove and Terry Moyer on our podcast and interview them, but I don't think it's going to happen because I don't know if they're fans of us.
Oh, yeah, same idea. The reason that, and this is the question, I call it the Dave Grohl question on the Pennsylvania Rock Show. reason that I want to talk to him is because he lets people from the crowd come up on stage and play.
Yes, he does.
And that's what my question is. It's who's your Dave Grohl? In other words, who would you want to go up on stage and play with?
Would I be playing guitar?
Yeah, I'm like, can I just sing and not try to compete with my keyboard skills?
Shit. I'd want to go on stage.
Ronnie Radke, or Youngblood, or Gerard Way.
I'd like to play.
I love them all.
I'd like to play guitar in Primus just so I could be that close to Les Claypool and see him like play bass. I'd like to play guitar in Genesis just so I could see the Genesis from like the 80s or 90s before Phil Collins got all old and decrepit. Yeah, that would be great. Some of those guitar parts are just, some of those solos are just so tasty. Or Smashing Pumpkins.
Taylor Hanson.
Yeah, she's one of the only remaining people in the world that's still a fan of the band Hanson.
For the record, people only associate them with Bop, and they're actually real musicians. They were like 12. That is
the only song I know. So
yeah, that's them at age 12. Like, you look up Georgia, Blue Sky, like they have like really awesome thinking about something. Like, they've got really good songs, and they're still going. I haven't been able to see them live ever in my life, and I am sad about that. But you can tell we come from very different musical camps.
Yes. Yes. I don't know how we're able to be in a band together with how different our music tastes are.
I definitely like more rock. So yeah, Ronnie Radke, Gerard Way, Youngblood. Those are all my top vocal picks, because Michael Jackson's a little out of reach, a little bit. Plus, I don't want to compete with any of these people. I just want to like stand there and just watch them do their beautiful thing.
The musical influences in this house and what is listened to. My wife is more of a I would say her basis is country, but she does listen to some rock. She listens to like Nickelback and Creed and stuff like that. Yeah. And then my kids are more pop rock.
So do they do like MGK, or they do like Blink, or what
more like newer? Bria, name a band you like since you just walked in.
I don't really like this band, but Kiss, I guess.
No. That you like.
Is Aerosmith the band?
Yeah. She's proving me wrong. She just said Kiss and Aerosmith.
Kiss?
I love Aerosmith.
Wow.
I love Aerosmith.
Like 21 Dragons and who else? 21 Pilots, sorry. And Imagine Dragons and Fall Out Boy. Okay. So that's more the rock end of things. Like that stuff I don't mind. But then you also listen to more poppier stuff. Like,
I love that stuff.
Yeah. She said, I love that stuff.
But I think as a kid, you don't really have a choice to dislike it. I think like to fit in with like everyone else in school, you kind of have to like all the crap they're playing on the radio now.
To a certain extent, I don't know. At age 12, I was a weirdo, because I had a weird amalgamation of posters in my room, ranging from Backstreet Boys and NSYNC to Red Hot Chili Peppers, Skillet, and like DC Talk, and Duran Duran, which I got into on my own.
This chair is turning on its own.
It's not because he's upset. It's because the chair is possessed.
He's
upset.
He's dancing with a ghost.
I'm just gonna turn him back where he belongs. But I don't know. Like I don't know. I think I was immune to that, whatever that was, at age 12, because like, Californication was such a fantastic. I'm trying to keep your chair from turning.
I want it to turn.
It was like a theme, that whole album for me, So I don't know. I'm feeling judged.
Yes,
not by me.
I'm slowly judging you.
I'm definitely like that Kiss and Aerosmith answer. That came from my tastes.
Aerosmith was fantastic.
Dude, have you listened to any of the Kiss autobiographies? Paul Stanley's, I highly recommend. Face the Music. It's a great autobiography. You should check it out.
I have to do that. I can't remember the name of it, but I read one of Gene's autobiographies. and it's signed. It's over there in the.
I have an autographed bottle of Kiss cologne that Gene Simmons signed.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
I did not know that.
Yes, my sperm donor father that I don't talk about. He acquired that at one point, and I have it. So
I got into Kiss really recently, actually. So I'm new to the Kiss game, but I've been kind of diving into their stuff. And growing up, I just thought they were the rock and roll all night band. I hated that song as a kid. I hated it with a fiery passion, and I was just like, this band is so corny.
that's
and
how I feel about Beth.
the song Beth. No,
Yeah,
Beth-
I
Beth is
hate that song.
Beth shows off the unique vocal abilities of Peter Criss.
It's a terrible song. I hate
Well, yeah,
that
the
song.
lyrics
It
aren't
was-
that great, but the melody's good.
It was actually not. It's not even. It's about his ex-wife, whose name was not Beth.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure that went over really well.
Her name was
When
Rebecca.
he bought her the Lamborghini from the royalties of that song, I'm sure she got over it real quick.
Yeah, her name was Rebecca, but in the song he was calling her Beck, and Paul and Gene didn't like it, so it got changed to Beth.
Beck sounds better than
No, Beth is smoother. Beck is very Beck. It's kind of harsh.
the artist Beck.
But
But
that was way
for the
before
reason
Beck.
you don't like Beth is the reason I do like it. It's very raw because of his vocals, and
It's just cheesy.
a lot of the shit you like is cheesy, so you're really not one to throw stones. You like Hollywood Undead.
And you like ICP, and I don't say anything to you about that because I like Hollywood Undead.
Whoop.
I have a comment about
party
IC.
songs,
I have an
but
ICP
they have
comment, but we're
serious
gonna do that off the air. Last thing I need from you guys before we stop streaming and I tell you the ICP thing. I need the question that you have for Second Cities, which is next episode's guest.
Second, the question I have for Second Cities, they have a great sound, by the way. I wanted to ask them, in the UK, is rock still relevant and appreciated in a mainstream kind of way? Because in the United States, it is dying a miserable death as far as relevance and appreciation in regards to the mainstream.
Or it's being reinvented in a whole, like you've got your MGK, your 21 Pilots. It's completely different.
So yeah,
Yeah, the bands that we were just talking about that my kids like.
Mm-hmm.
So in the UK, does rock have more of a respect amongst the your average person, and does it have more of a relevance over there than in the States? It would be my question to them. And they have a great sound, by the way.
Rock almost seems like it's almost alternative, just in general. Here, you have to go to the alternative stations, and you have to, it's aggravating. It's very aggravating.
There are no alternative stations.
We just got ours back. Are you kidding me? Like locally, like it just disappeared for a while. So I'm thankful it's back, but I don't really listen to radio anymore. So.
All right, so I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me on episode 51.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And make sure that this is my running joke with the show. This is the chain letter podcast where you have to come back and see what the answer is to your own question. So every episode chains together.
Gotcha.
Hell yeah.
All right, so
We'll be back.
this has been episode number 51. And very shortly, you're going to hear John Lane, the American Hilljack, tell you how to subscribe and various other things. And when you hear that, it's time for you to go to buildascene.com and listen to some more of the podcasts that are available from the Pennsylvania Rock Show, 3 Questions and a Song. And there's a seasonal one called SOS PGH that you should check out as well, which is... there's a concert series going on that's raising money for NIVA, the National Independent Venue Association. And that's what that podcast is. It's the bands that are playing in that concert series. So check that out as well. And we'll catch you on the 15th with Second Cities.
You want to know how to say your show title in German?
Sure.
Drei Fragen und ein Lied.
I interviewed a band from Italy, and I did the whole introduction in Italian. So
There you go.